Today we're going to talk about how much savings you need to really run a freelance business. And it comes from a Reddit thread where the person asked, because I don't know if it was a guy, I only have $500 in the bank. Is that enough to go freelance? Now I say maybe that's enough to go freelance, but it's going to really depend on how fast you can land paying clients. That really gives you not very much margin, so you don't have very much space to pick the right clients for you. So say your first client, you send them your standard contract, and what they send back basically says if anything we don't like goes, if there anything happens that we don't like, you have to give us all the money, and you have to pay us penalties, and you have to do 3 or 4 other things. What do you do when you have rent staring you in the face, when you have other things looking at you that you need to do, pay bills, and you only have $500? You might have to say yes. Do I think that that's a good client? Probably not. That's probably a client that is simply going to be painful for you long term. It's a client that you will wish you said no to, that may crush your freelancing business. But you got bills to pay, so you don't even have a choice. You're just saying yes. You're trying to figure out how you can possibly make this work for yourself. The reality is you might figure out a way that you can sort of sign the contract and not feel too bad about it, but the whole time you work on it, you're going to be thinking about that contract. You're not going to do your best work. It's going to be really easy then to also get stuck in a cycle of bad clients. Typically the clients that you're able to say yes to at the beginning, the first clients you get, are lower paying clients. And you're working super hard at that point to pay the bills, to get these jobs done, which are a lot of work for not a lot of money often. And then you're stuck in a cycle because you have to pay bills again. You only really ever have $500 in the bank. So you just get cycling back and cycling and cycling. And then you have $500 in the bank and you keep having to say yes to bad clients. And then what if one of those first clients doesn't pay you? Right? You didn't get to be discriminating. So they didn't pay you on time. You're waiting. It's 2 months later. You're still doing more work and you haven't been paid yet. That's really common in a lot of freelancers, which seems crazy to me because I almost never have any late invoices because I just don't work if I'm not paid. But I get them to pay me up front because, again, I have margin because I have lots of space. If I had no clients from now, I wouldn't have to worry about it until March because I am paid till February already, just out of my operating fund plus my savings. So I don't even know what it would be if I added my savings in there, probably June even. And then my personal savings that my wife and I have would take us farther than that. So I can say no to lots of bad clients. And I don't actually say no, but that's for another podcast or for another writing or something. But I turn down or don't work with probably overall 80% of the people that get in touch with me because we're a bad fit for whatever reason, or because they don't have the money that I think they need to do the job right. So a good rule of thumb, if you're going to go freelancing, is have 3 to 6 months expenses, or income is better. So expenses is just your bills. Income would be your bills plus whatever, if you'd like to go to the movies, go out to shows. So plus that money. I don't remember what I had if it was 3 or 6 months at this point, but it was just barely enough. It was 3 months for sure. And then I had, I think at the time, was my biggest contract, which was like $8,000 over like 8 weeks, which was amazing, I thought, at that point. I had that signed, and so I finished my job and started working on that big project right away. And I still just barely had enough. Because I made a lot of mistakes. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. If you're a technician, so you can do your coding job, your design job, your photography job, that's great. Running a business is entirely different. If you've worked for someone else for a while, then you have a bit of a leg up because you do know what they did for project management. You probably know a little bit about how they did client onboarding and about how they estimated. If you're just coming out of school to do this, you have none of that really. You have what school taught you, which is typically an idealized version of how client interaction should go, not what happens in reality. So you're going to make mistakes. Coding, designing, photography, whatever your business is different than actually running a business. You're a business owner, then you need to do business owner things like keep track of a budget, like make sure you have cash flow running, like purchase equipment, like market. Those are all things that, when I started as a developer, I had to learn because I didn't know them, at least certainly not as well as I do now, because I've been doing it for so many years, but I didn't know them at all. So I made lots of mistakes. You need to be productive. You need to be not efficient, but effective, and effective being spending the time on the right things, not just doing whatever fast, which is what efficient it would be. And that'll be another topic in the future as well. So you need to pick the effective things. You need to know how to discriminate those, and you're going to make lots of mistakes when you start out. And you need cushion, margin, to be able to make those mistakes and recover from them and keep going without killing your business. $500 is probably not enough margin.